Golf seems to be full of terminology, and one of those terms that's used is swing depth, arm depth, club depth. So let's have a look, see what that is and how improving it can make a difference to your golf swing. We're also going to have a look at some of the things that aren't correct about it. So there's going to be a number of checkpoints that you can work through here just to make sure. So first of all, let's take a look at the swing and describe hand path, which is mostly what we're referring to when we talk about depth. So if I play a shot for you, so when I swung the club back and through, my hands moved from out in front of me to up and behind me as my body's turned. So there's a combination of body rotation and arm movement as I go back and through. Let's have a look at some checkpoints to ensure that the hand path is correct and that we also coordinate that with how the body's turning in the backswing. So from the start here, if you imagine a line running from my hands and under my armpit and then sort of extending upwards, what I want my hands to do is follow that imaginary line through to the top of the backswing. The downswing hand path is going to be a little bit different, but for the sake of simplicity, let's say it's going to be approximately the same. But the key thing we want to do here is ensure the backswing path is correct. So if we have a look at different points or different checkpoints as we go back to see where the hands are, where the club is, and how the body should be moving. So from here, if I swing the club back to this point here, so now the shaft of the club's parallel to the ground and it's parallel to my stance line. Now the back of my hand is just outside my toe line there. So as I swung the club back, my hands haven't moved inside my toe line at that point. They haven't moved outside my toe line at that point. As the club's gone back, my upper body started to turn a little bit and my hands are just at this point here. So if we look from this view, as we go back to that same point, you can see that very little movement with my lower body, but my upper body has started to rotate as I've gone back. So that's sort of checkpoint number one. Now if we go to checkpoint number two, which is where my left arm is parallel to the ground at the end of the backswing. So from here, turning back to this point here, so you can see from here my left arm is not parallel to my stance line. It's a little bit inside that. And again, it would be on that imaginary hand path line that we talked about right at the beginning. So my reference points, when I get to this point here, my left arm's parallel to the ground and the back of my hand is about level with where my little toe is there, roughly. So again, as I've gone back, my hands haven't gone in too far here. So that would be described as too far back or too deep as I've gone back. As I've gone back, my hands haven't tried to go straight back, which of course means that they're not in the right position either. So they're the first couple of checkpoints. Let's look at that from front on. So now when I rotate my body back to that point here, so when I get to here, my left arm's parallel to the ground, I've got a pretty full upper body turn at that same point there. So as I've gone back, my left arm hasn't got stuck against my chest as I've gone back. I've actually just allowed my body to turn and my hands to move to that point there. So again, my arms haven't done a lot of, haven't had a lot of independent movement as I've gone back there. Now if we go back to the top of the swing, swings of different lengths. So top of my swing could be here, or here, but wherever that top of the backswing is, my body's turned a little bit more for it to go back further. My arms have lifted a little bit more to go back further, but my hands have stayed on that same imaginary line regardless of the length of the backswing. Now if I don't allow my body to turn as I'm doing that, then my arms can swing around behind my body too much. If I turn my body too much, again, the same sort of thing can happen. So from here, if I have too much independent arm movement, my arms can sort of swing behind my body too much. Or And looking from here, if I allow my body to turn too much, again, same sort of thing can happen there. So looking at the hand path is critical, because your hand path is going to have a lot of influence over in your overall balance of the swing. So again, from here, if I play a shot and we watch that, the hand path as my body turns, we're looking for a smoothness in that movement to give you good control. So practice that, observe it with your reflection, mirror, watching through a camera, get someone to record you, track that hand path, and make sure that your hands are moving as your body's rotating, so it's happening together. And you'll find that that'll give you a lot more control over the path of the club as it's going back and through, because that's obviously what we want to control. We want to be able to control the movement of the shaft, as well as the movement of the club head, and of course club face as well. But club face is not so much influenced by what we do with the hand path, but other things. But certainly this is going to give you a lot better directional control, especially if your path of the club tends to lead to slicing or hook shots.